So I'm here today to share with you some information about what personality dimensions is all about, in the hopes that by the end of my 18 minutes with you, you will all have a better appreciation of who you are as a person, what drives you, what your core needs and key stressors are. But more than that, you'll have a better appreciation for the people that you interact with on a daily basis, so that you can perhaps change the way you do things and interact with people a little bit different based on what you know about them, to enhance relationships and to improve communication. And so when I'm talking about temperament, I'm talking about how we're hardwired to view the world. And we're all hardwired to view the world just a little bit differently. And personality dimensions uses colors to describe the temperaments. And so the temperaments that I'm going to be talking about today are resourceful orange, organized gold, inquiring green, and authentic blue. So I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into those 4 colors and what they all mean. And then I'm going to follow up with my workshop to talk about how each temperament deals with change, because we all deal with change just a little bit differently. And so when I'm talking about temperament, a lot of people say to me, actually pretty much in every single workshop I do, and I do hundreds of them a year, people say to me, does your temperament change over time? And I say, we're all born with core needs and key stressors, and we're likely going to die with the same core needs and key stressors. But there's lots of things that impact what our temperament looks like in our world and how it's shaped for us. Things like the country we grow up in, the culture we grow up in, the family of origin that we grow up in, experiences that we've had, traumas that we might have experienced. All of those things shape the way our temperament looks in our life. So I say that you are all born with the same core needs and key stressors. You're likely going to die with the same core needs and key stressors, but the way it looks in our life changes over time. And so I'm going to jump right in and talk about the 4 colors. Actually, before I do that, I wanted to tell you a couple things. So when I'm talking about the 4 colors, you're likely going to see a little bit of yourself in every single color, because we're all a blend of all 4 colors, and all blends are good. There are no bad blends, they are just blends. I have lots of people who say to me, are there 2 color blends that should get together and be really successful as a couple? And I always say no. Every single color blend can get together and be successful as a couple, because it's about appreciating the strengths that your partner brings to the table and embracing them instead of trying to change them into something they're not. So if you can appreciate the strengths that somebody brings to the table instead of trying to change them, then that can be a successful relationship. So we're all a blend of all 4 colors. All blends are good. There are no bad blends, they just are what they are. So you will likely see yourself in every single color a little bit, but there will be likely 1 or 2 colors that you absolutely see yourself in. And I invite you to think about the people that you interact with on a daily basis, your husbands, your wives, your partners, your kids, your coworkers. You will likely recognize people when I'm giving you some examples. So I'm going to start with inquiring greens. Inquiring greens are the knowledge seekers of the world. Their core need is knowledge and knowing the answers to things, and their key stressor is not knowing the answers to things. Actually, they have 2 core needs. Their core need is knowledge and knowing the answers to things. The second core need is competence, so they need to be good in whatever it is they choose to do. So they don't like to be wrong. They like to be experts in whatever it is they choose to do, because their core need is competence and needing to know the answers to things. Their key stressor is not knowing the answers to things and incompetence. So if they're wrong, if they don't know how to do their job effectively, if they don't have answers to things, that will stress them out. So their own incompetence stresses them out, but more than that, other people's incompetence stresses them out. So greens have been known to think and sometimes even say, oh my gosh, you have a job, read your job description, figure out how to do your job. If you can't do your job, find another job. They have no patience for other people's incompetence, and so have you said it before? I see you laughing, or you know somebody who said it? Yeah. Anyway, so greens need to know the answers to things. So I like telling stories to prove a point, and I'm going to tell you a story about my beautiful 26-year-old green child who happens to be in the audience right now. I did warn him that I was going to be telling this story. So my child is a green. He's been a green since he came out of my belly, and when he was about 11 years old, I realized that when he drank milk and ate cheese, something nasty happened to his belly, and everybody in the general vicinity of him suffered immensely by what was happening with his belly. So I said to him, hey, bud, you know what? You're probably lactose intolerant. Why don't we cut out milk and cheese and see if that does the trick and your stomach isn't upset anymore? And he said, okay, yeah, no problem. So about a week later, he comes to me and he goes, hey, Mom, when you go grocery shopping, can you buy some Gouda cheese? I said, well, why on earth would I buy Gouda cheese? We just decided that you're probably lactose intolerant. We're cutting out cheese. And my 11-year-old green child said, well, I didn't know what lactose intolerance was, so I went away and I did some research. And it turns out that I can eat Gouda cheese because of, and he went into this long scientific explanation about enzymes and aged cheese, and all I heard was, wah, 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 I can eat Gouda cheese. And because I don't care about the why. It doesn't matter to me, but my green child cares about the why. So when my 11-year-old heard, you're probably lactose intolerant, that wasn't enough for him. He needed to go away and do the research to find the answers to it. And that's what greens do. If they don't know the answers to things, they go away and they do some research and they find the answers to things. So with greens, I often think of brains as funnels. They're really good at looking at complex information and stuff that would hurt other people's brains and whittling it down into a piece that makes sense to other people. They're excellent strategic thinkers, excellent big picture thinkers, excellent systems thinkers. They're analytical, they're objective, they're often clear and direct and to the point in their language. They're the ones that ask why, and they need to know where they fit in the bigger picture. And when a green asks you why, you need to answer them based on facts and data, because that is how a green communicates. They base decisions in life on what are the facts telling us, what's the data telling us, what is the information telling us. So when you're working with a green, when you're living with a green, when you're talking with a green, stick to the facts and get to the point. Does anybody recognize themselves in that? Does anybody think they're a green in the room here? Yeah, a couple nods. All right, next we're going to talk about organized goals. And full transparency here, this is me. I am the brightest organized gold you'll ever meet. I dial it back so as not to overwhelm people with my need to control everything. And my husband's sitting here going, that's dialed back, Kari, really? So core need for goals is belonging, being a part of something, and duties and responsibilities. Goals thrive on taking on duties and responsibilities. Key stressor for goals is being on the outside. So if there's something happening over here and a goal isn't involved in it, they're going to be like, need some help with that? They really like to be a part of whatever it is that's going on. Another key stressor for goals is being disorganized. Golds do not like to be disorganized. They have an organized desk, they have an organized life, their pantry is organized, everything is organized in a gold's world. In a gold's world, it's A plus B equals C, it's yes and no, it's black and white, it's should and shouldn't. So if you say to a gold, oh, come on, Kari, think in the gray space. A gold would say, I don't do gray. I do black or white. I don't really care which way it is. Just tell me which way I have to go. Because they don't think in the gray. Or if you say to a gold, think outside the box. Nope. I live in the box right here. I'm good with that. Don't make me think outside the box. Because golds like to know what they're doing, when they're doing it, and how long it's going to take to do it, and they like living in the box of the known. It feels good to live in routine and structure and order. Well, so golds like lists. And other colors might say, well, I like lists too. You don't like a list like a gold likes a list. Golds live by their lists. And they take physical pleasure crossing stuff off their list. It just feels good. They're like, oh, that felt really good if they've done something on their list. And many golds have been known to do stuff that wasn't on their list, and they write it on their list just for the sheer pleasure of crossing it off the list. And you know who you are. I'm looking at some of you right now. When golds write their grocery list, they write it in the order they're walking through the grocery store. And they walk through the grocery store the exact same way every single time, because that is efficient use of time. Why wouldn't you be efficient in every single thing that you do? Does anybody recognize themselves here? Yes, my people! Golds, they are detail-driven, they are organized, they are dependable. If they say they're going to be there, they're going to be there. If they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. They are punctual. They do not like being late. They like to stick to an agenda. And they also don't like surprises. So if you're working with a gold and you say, hey, I need you to drop what you're doing and come over here and work on this, doesn't feel good to a gold. So try and limit those disruptions and interruptions whenever you can, because it doesn't feel good to a gold. All right, moving on to our beautiful resourceful oranges. Resourceful oranges are polar opposite of organized golds. Resourceful oranges' core need is freedom. Freedom is space to do what they need to do and be who they need to be, to do it their way. Key stressors for oranges is rigid boundaries. Putting them in a box isn't going to work. Micromanaging them, not ever going to work with an orange. So rigid boundaries are a key stressor for oranges. Another key stressor is waiting. They don't like waiting for the Tim Hortons drive-thru. They don't like waiting at trains. They get super frustrated when the coffee doesn't percolate fast enough. Any of that kind of stuff. Waiting just doesn't work for an orange. And so that phrase, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, is fully an orange phrase. I don't know any other color other than orange that has ever said that, which means I'm just going to do it. If I have to apologize to my boss, I'll apologize to my boss if I went a little bit too far. So oranges, I call them the jugglers of the world. They're the ones who like to keep lots of balls in the air, and they're great multitaskers. So they'll be working on something over here, and then they'll be like, hey, what are you doing over there? That looks like fun. Need some help with that? And if somebody says, hey, I need you to drop what you're doing and come over here and work on this, and an orange is like, absolutely, what do you need? I'm in. And so they are all over that. So flexibility and adaptability works really well with an orange. They are really good in emergency situations. They are the ones that can walk into an emergency situation and make a quick decision. And if it's the wrong decision, they pivot and they switch gears and they make a different decision. And then they'll pivot again and make a different decision, and they'll keep pivoting until they make the right decision. But they don't get caught in details or information. They just do, because oranges are doers. They like action and variety and space and movement and freedom and fun. They love to have fun. So when you're working with an orange, super important to remember that freedom is a core need for them. They love change. They seek change. They thrive on change. They're the ones that are saying at a boardroom table, oh my God, can we just change the way we're doing this? We've been doing it this way for 20 years. And other colors, namely the golds, are saying, why would you fix something that's not broken? We don't need to change it. And so very, very different ways of viewing the world. One needs freedom, one needs structure. Also, oranges love to have fun with whatever it is they're doing. So when you're working with an orange, give them the permission to have fun, and they also love a good competition every once in a while. Not every once in a while, all of the time. They love competition. The last but not least that I'm going to talk about today are our beautiful authentic blues. Authentic blues are the heart-centered people of the world. They are the empaths. They lead with their heart. Their core need is relationships. People are at the heart of everything that an authentic blue does, and are considered in everything that a blue does. So core need is relationships, and key stressor for blues is guilt. And every other color that's not a strong blue is going, what does that even mean? But every blue in the room is going, I feel that in my core. I know what that means. Guilt for a blue, I call it the coulda, shoulda, woulda guilt. It's guilt around, did I do the right thing for that person? Did I say the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? Did I do enough for that person? Did I not do enough for that person? Did I spend too much time with that person? Did I not spend enough time with that person? And so the guilt is very, very real. So I call it the coulda, shoulda, woulda guilt with blues. That's their core key stressor. Blues are empathetic and kind and considerate and caring. They are heart-centered. They are the ones that feel very deeply, and they pick up on the undercurrents of emotions that aren't being talked about. So when a blue walks into a room, they don't even have to do it. They don't do it where they're thinking about it. They just automatically figure out where the energy level is in a room and where the emotions are in a room. And they pick up on the emotions of every single person in the room. And I'm telling you, they feel those emotions as well. Blues are the ones that friends turn to when they have a problem, because blues are great listeners and really good problem solvers. Blues want to do nothing more than to help build you up to reach your full potential. They are the ones who want to help you problem solve so that your life can be a beautiful one to live. Blues are also excellent communicators. I often, on a team, I call blues the glue that holds a team together, because they love interaction. They love building strong, authentic, real connections and relationships with people, and it's important. So when I say relationships is their core need, that surface stuff isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about authentic, real connections with people and building authentic, real relationships. So blues are great team members because they love to build connections and relationships. They are the caretakers of the world. They are the ones that if there's people are being misheard at work or disrespected or treated poorly, they're the ones that in a team meeting that might say, can we just stop for a second? Because I think that people aren't being heard, or I think we really just need to take a second here and just connect with everybody and see if everybody's in a good place. So they're the ones who are making sure the emotional aspect of workplaces are taken care of. They also love to collaborate. They love to work with other people, and that's really important to them. So I would never put, if I was a manager, I would never ever put a blue sort of in a file room in the back by themselves, a blue extrovert for sure, because making connections and being around people is really important to a blue. So when you're working with a blue, having a harmonious environment is really good for a blue, where people are treated with respect and kindness and compassion. Those things are really important to a blue. And remember that blues need to connect with you. So if you start working with somebody and they're a blue, before you can jump in and start doing work with them, they need to get to know you as a person. So you're probably going to have 45 minutes of a coffee date before you actually start working with them, just getting to know them. You'll know who their dog is. You'll know, all of that stuff. They want to get to know you as a person, and they cannot work effectively until they've made a connection with whoever it is they're working with. Do we have any blues in the room? I know we have some blues in the room. I see you. I see you. So a couple things. I'm on the tail end here, but a couple things that I want to just remind you all is we're all a blend of all four of these colors, and all four colors are good. I always say the Maya Angelou quote, "Once you know better, you should do better." And so if you know that somebody's core need is people and relationships, take time to build relationships with them. If you know somebody's core need is knowledge, give them the facts and the data. If you know somebody's core need is freedom, I'll tell you, when I have to have a meeting with an orange, I say, let's make it a walk and talk. Get your runners, let's go around Boulevard. Because oranges hate sitting behind a desk and a table. That's stuffy and yucky, and there's no movement there. And so change the way you do things to better meet people where they're at. Because none of us can change other people, but we can change the way we interact with people in order to better build relationships and connections. And I've heard over and over and over from the speakers today about connections and communication and building relationships for change. So all of those things are really important, and this is a way to start doing that. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, folks.